so this is the first still that we need to look at. So this is when Walt is recording the camcorder message to his family, and basically it's a shot of him looking over his shoulder. It's simple, it's literal, it is telling us Walt is going to be looking over his shoulder for the foreseeable future, in fact for the remainder of the show. But the reason this is important is because it tells us that this isn't just a show that points the camera at the actors and lets the actors and the writing do all the work. The camera is going to be telling us something in this show, and that's what we need to look out for. It's introduced cinematography similarly to the way that Sopranos did. It's taken cinematography to the silver screen. And the next still, again, Vince Gilligan could have just pointed the camera at Walter in any particular way, but he didn't. He's framed it like this because the gun is large in the frame, which tells us that danger is looming. The danger is in the foreground. It is present. It is right there, and it always will be. This is a show that uses its camera to tell us something. The camera isn't just pointed, it's there for a reason. So here we have Walt in the background, on his own. He is not lit, showing potential dark side to his character. He is not the focus of his own party. Again, he is powerless, he's a bit of a loser. He makes his way over to them at the mention of meth and money. He's entering a new place. He is literally walking from one place to the other at the mention of meth and money. This is the start of Walt's journey. Okay, so the first thing we see in this scene is this shot. Tilting from the table up to Walt. We see Walt's reflection, and then we tilt up to him. There are two Walts. There are two sides to him. There's what you see, and there's what's underneath. There's literally what you see, and there's what's underneath. Beautiful direction from Vince Gilligan. He's hinting at Walt's change. In this scene, Walt and Jesse are both lit in half light. Walt here, Jesse there. This is suggesting a duality to their characters. A good side and a bad side. Two different sides of a coin. We are developing two anti-heroes here. The way they are lit also visually connects them. So there is a connection between these two. Again, we've had the pants, we've now had the way that they are being lit. So in the previous scene with these two, we had them in darkness and singles. Now we see them framed together. They are both in the shot at the same time, either as two shots or dirty singles. They are predominantly in the same shot with each other. Vince Gilligan is linking them. He is getting them literally and physically closer together. In the previous scene, they are further apart. They are not in each other's shots. In this scene, they are closer together and they are in each other's shots. They are growing tighter. It's very, very clever directing. We start off with wide shots, and as the danger builds, Vince Gilligan makes the frame more claustrophobic and he gets them closer until it's completely full, which represents the imminent danger that Jesse and Walt, by proxy, are both under. Again, using that cinematography to express what is happening in the scene, what is happening with the characters. So all throughout this pilot, the cinematography, the camera movement, whether it's handheld, whether it's static, is telling us how the characters are feeling and what kind of situation they are in. Walter White is pointing a gun at us. Again, Vince Gilligan could have framed this anyway, but he didn't. He had Walter White pointing the gun at us. This is a man who will not let anything stand in his way. He won't let anything or anyone stand in his way to get what he wants. He is literally pointing a gun at us, the viewer, saying none of you are going to stand in my way. So we have this shot inside the washing machine. It's claustrophobic. The thing that Walt thinks is going to give him freedom, this money, is actually the thing that is trapping him and is going to be his downfall. Again, Vince Gilligan could have shot it anyway, but he shot it like this because it's claustrophobic and it shows Walt trapped. The money is literally trapping him. So this is my colour theory. This is the painter's wheel. So I'm a filmmaker by trade. I often do some editing and some colour correcting. So these are the colour wheels that we are used to seeing in editing and art, basically. So I think Vince Gilligan uses this colour wheel wonderfully. I think he uses it throughout Breaking Bad. I think he uses it very specifically in this pilot, and I think it changes throughout. So I'm only going to talk about what I think it means in the pilot, because I think it develops and it transforms as the show does, as Walt does. I think it transforms. So just for the pilot, I think green represents money, greed, and lust. Examples of green in the pilot. Walt is in green in the teaser, so the second meth cook. The chemicals that Walt uses in the opening classroom scene, he's got the fire and the chemicals are green and red. When Walt collapses, the woman that he's looking at is dressed in green. He's lusting after a different life, and the woman is dressed in green. It's a successful life as well. She's got a lovely car, her dress is all fancy, so he's lusting after riches. Other examples of green are Walt's wearing green, his shirt and his apron in Act 4. Red represents danger, including orange in that red colour spectrum there. So examples of red. The other chemical in the classroom was red. So green and red together. Who is always wearing red? Jesse. Who is always wearing green in the pilot? Walter. It's another visual collection of Walt and Jesse. Green and red. Those chemicals together. Another examples of red. Jesse's pants and car are red. Jesse's always dressed in red. Crazy 8's dummy is red. More danger. So red represents danger. Jesse's wearing red because he represents the danger that Walt meeting him is going to bring into Walt's life. Not because Jesse is necessarily dangerous, but he represents the danger that is going to come into Walt's life because of their encounter. Blue represents deception. In the scene where Walt first lies to Skylar, she is wearing blue. She says, "How was your day?" He says it was fine. He's just been diagnosed with cancer. He's lying to her. Jesse's tarp is blue. He's covering something up. He's literally covering something up. He's lying about who he is. Blue represents deception. Skylar wears a lot of blue because Walt is deceiving her. She is completely unaware of this whole other life that he's having. Yellow represents the meth. The meth smoke is literally yellow. Examples of yellow. The yellow mustard stain on the doctor's coat lab. Walt is already starting to think about the meth. It is a connection between his health failing and him deciding to start cooking meth. Walt wears yellow when he shows Jesse the chemistry lab. So when Walt turns up at Jesse's house and shows him all the kit that he's stolen from the lab, he's wearing yellow, which directly connects him to the cooking of meth. And it's the first time that he has physically started to do that, and they happen to dress him in yellow, directly connecting him to meth. Crazy 8's car is yellow and he wears yellow. He is the closest thing to the meth world that, like, as in the big, like, production of meth that Walt and Jesse have met, and so therefore he is dressed in yellow. Purple. Marie is in purple. Hank is in orange, by the way, because it's not fully red yet, because there's no real danger with Hank and Walt. He's in orange because he's not that dangerous, but it's a hint that it might be. There's something there between Hank and Walt, and we don't quite know what it is yet. Why is Marie purple? Okay, if Skylar is dressed in blue and Hank is dressed in orange, what is the colour in between those two things? It's purple. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brings us to the end of my colour theory. What do you think? I'm sure I didn't talk about everything there. Like, red is the opposite of green, etc. Blue is the opposite of orange. There's lovely things in there, but basically that's my theory, is that it's all based on this painter's wheel, and it's to do with what certain things represent throughout this pilot. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed it.